Hi all. I really didn't want to make a video on this topic. If you're at all in line with what's happening on the glorious streaming service that is Netflix, you will almost certainly have heard of a little film called Cuties. And believe you me, I don't need to tell you what it's about because you either know already or you can piece together what it's about from the name and characters on the poster. And surprise, surprise, people aren't liking the message it gives off. Who would have thought it? And I was very hesitant to watch it as a result. The whole concept of the film's premise itself is irking, and me just saying that I watched it will make people immediately think of me as a word that would most likely get me demonetized. It's that bad. But some people online are saying that it's actually not promoting that sort of stuff, but rather discouraging it, and is actually a good film if you look past what others say. So I was sat on the fence, and with some persuasion from a Discord friend to watch it and together see if it's as bad as people say it is, I sat down, prepared myself, and watched it till the end. Was it actually a good film? No. No, it was not good. This movie is plain and simply disgusting. There is a revelation at the very end of the film, but it's not even close to enough to justify all the scenes that happen before it. It is dog shit. It is a fucking awful film that I felt sick watching through to the end. So, what will this video be about? Well, firstly, I'll give you a quick rundown of what happens in the film and probably just rant about everything wrong with it, which might take a while because everything is wrong with it. Sit tight, because this was a disturbing experience. So our protagonist, I think her name is Amarth, she lives in a clearly struggling household with a family that has strong religious backgrounds. Immediately we feel a disconnect from Amarth and her family, portraying them as being the downfall of her life, setting up the precedent that they are the faction that is holding her back. Already quite ropey and is the first red flag of this film. She goes to school and does regular things, but comes across a group of girls practicing a routine out in public while Amarth is caring for her two younger brothers. They notice her and throw rocks at her. Keep in mind, this is the same group that she becomes real close with, so yeah. They run into her again later in school and mock her furthermore. One of them, though, is more open to her and they begin hitting it off. As they get closer to one another, she invites Amarth to film her and her dance group in action, and their moves are tame, compared to the rest of the film, that is. It's not as suggestive, but it's still uncomfortable, to say the least. Now, a good majority of the movie seems to just blur into one. Things just happen. Very questionable things happen, including, but not limited to, one of the girls finding a used condom and blowing it up thinking it's a balloon, forcing Amarth to try and take a picture of a schoolboy's penis, and she doesn't seem like she's too bothered about doing it. The girls watching adult female dancers perform their own overly sexualized routine, featuring one of them literally flashing the camera. You see a breast for a split second of this film. I'm just grateful that it wasn't one of the girls, because then we really would have had a problem. Amarth idolizing borderline porn actresses and their very provocative moves, then copying said moves and interpreting them into the dance group's routine. When this part showed up, I started feeling sick to my stomach watching it. And this isn't shown in a negative way, oh no. It's portrayed as a fucking bonding moment and acts as if it's the bright future for the film. There's pop music playing in the background throughout the montage, and there are multiple shots of the underage girls twerking, and a good few of these shots include Amarth smacking their behinds as they do it. This is portrayed as positive. Positive! While all this activity is going on, Amarth's family is undergoing even more stress. Amarth's father is marrying another woman, and her mother is clearly destroyed by this. There's a scene where Amarth crawls under the bed while her mother has a conversation with someone down the phone revealing this information, and she breaks down into tears in a very real, very serious real-life situation. But a good majority of this is constantly thrown to the side as the group of girls get mountains more screen time of them doing more provocative things. Her brother is shown as being an absolute annoyance, and her mother is portrayed as being someone forcing Amarth to do chores. which I find insulting. She's trying to teach her valuable life lessons. She's trying to help her in any way she can because she is struggling and wants her to have a better life. How in God's name can you attempt to portray a loving mother giving it her all in a bad light? How can you seriously justify such a shitty take? But onwards we go. And to be honest, I was this close to just calling it a day when I got to that part. More stuff happens again, and this time it's getting worse. The girls wander into a laser tag arena for some reason, get caught by security, then twerk for them, and they let them go. What's worse is that one of the guards is clearly enjoying it, and I almost fucking lost it here. That is blatant pedophilia in its rawest form, and what's it followed by? The girls doing another dance sequence featuring more suggestive moves because they got a part in a dance competition. Not showing the previous scene in any bad light at all, just more provocative dancing. This is then followed up by Amarth being pressured into returning a stolen phone to someone she lives with, but not before she snaps a picture of her privates and posts it online for no reason at all. Her mother eventually finds out and scolds her in a well-deserving way. She deserves what she's got coming to her. But again, it comes off as if she is the downfall. She is the character I root for most of all. But preceding this, Amarth runs off and tries to dance with the group. They reject her because she showed her clit online. Fair enough. Then on the day that the group is supposed to perform, Amarth shoves one of the girls into a river, takes her place instead, and the other girls are just like, yeah, okay, let's do it anyway. Then finally, Amarth has her revelation, leaves the performance midway through, comes home, they accept her back, and the film ends on a happy note. Right. This is most likely going to turn into a rant, but I don't care, because this film deserves it. You've probably noticed by now at least that this video is a lot more serious. I've included no skits, no jokes, no cuts of any kind. That's because this film is not a laughing matter. This is sickening. My main problem with it, as is probably yours, is the fact that they thought it was a good idea to include a whole slew of scenes that just promote such horrible and provocative acts. Having bright and upbeat music for scenes that you'd see on a softcore is not okay. This is straight up pedo material, and I don't care that I'm using that word anymore because it's true. A lot of scenes in this movie are questionable, over-sexualized, and honestly disgusting. No sane human being would watch this and think, yeah, nothing wrong with that. It's horrible to watch, and I don't know who in their right mind thought that this was a good idea. But I can already sense that there might be some people out there that disagree with me, and will linger solely on the fact that, oh, but there's a revelation at the end that rebukes all the stuff she did. Well, here's the problem with that argument. The revelation is weak. Very weak. It's not even nearly enough to justify showing us all the scenes shown before and does not even last 5 minutes. What the revelation amounts to is Amarth realizing what she's doing on stage. She runs back home, is comforted by her mother after she has this realization, and then the final shot is her walking down the stairs of her flat to go and play with some skipping ropes with other family members and friends on the street. The camera pans upwards and it ends. That's it. I cannot express how utterly disappointed I was when seeing this unfold. When Amarth has her moment, she runs back home on the verge of tears. Okay, that's good, we can set up a much more powerful message with the ending to this. But instead, the movie ends on a happy tone. And there are so many problems with this final scene, because just returning to your family does not undo all the damage that has already been done. For example, what happens between Amarth and the group she indulged with? She walked out on them midway through, and they would most likely be more mad than ever. But more importantly, the film forgets that she has a presence online now. A horrible, exploitative presence that does not just go away. I've used the internet for a big portion of my life, and I've seen what can and commonly does happen in the real world. She most likely has pedos and creeps fantasizing over the content she has posted, and even more realistically, these types of people are probably likely to try and stalk and potentially kidnap her. The actions she makes in this film would have massive effects on her social life and would most likely end in the most horrifically horrible and vulgar way possible. But the film does not give us this message. Instead just says, oh yeah, this sort of behaviour is bad, just walk away from it and you'll be fine. That is not the type of moral message that should be given after such a sickening film. Just forgetting about the whole experience does not mean everything will magically become better. Her life is most likely on the verge of collapse, as everything she has done will most likely come back and bite her in the future. She will become a target by stalkers and creeps, but all of that is forgotten about for the sake of having a happy ending. If, in some crazy alternate dimension where I would have had the very unlikely idea to make such a movie like this, the ending would be anything but happy. I would have her family not accept her back, or if they do, they will feel very distant to her for understandably justified reasons. I would focus on all of these horrendous things that would most likely happen, but unlike the film, I wouldn't glorify or show this in a good light, and there would definitely be a lot more censorship. Then, when the screen would fade to black, have a large wall of text giving intricate insight to this horrible underbelly of society, and make a statement about how grotesque and easy it is for young girls to fall into this rabbit hole thanks to the normalization of objectification of women in the media. As well as this, remove all of the overly disgusting scenes with them performing in provocative ways, because this film has gone too far with showing this awful practice. The ending is not nearly powerful enough. The scenes shown are vulgar and take the R rating to its limits. It does not deal with the real world situations in the correct way at all. This film is a pervert's paradise. It is horrible, it is disgusting, and it made me sick to my stomach while I was watching it all the way through. I have never been so angry about a film in all my life, but that's because I've never seen a film that practically promotes this stuff in the first place. If you defend this film, I'm sorry, but you are a straight up pedophile. The message at the end is too weak, so don't even try to justify that as an argument. This film is fucking dog shit. It's wrong on every conceivable level. It portrays this subject in a mostly positive light, and I hated every second. Netflix has gone too far in trying to normalize this shit, and it deserves every single minuscule bit of backlash it's getting. The people who made this should not be allowed to try and make another film again. It is actually the worst film I've ever seen. And to add more insult to injury, the media coverage is still trying to divide people about something that should be universally agreed upon, saying that this film has become the subject of a right-wing campaign. This is not about fucking politics. Both left and right are in agreement that this film is utter shite, from concept to delivery. So even the mainstream attention this film is getting is repulsive itself, as they miss the point entirely and try to divide people once again. Do not watch this film. Not that I think that you are planning to anyway. Do not believe the false information that the media says about this being politically focused, because it's just a film for creeps. Do not even try to hear out people that defend this film to death, because they are pedophiles. This is the most grotesque, horrid, disgusting, provocative and messed up film I've ever had the disfortune of seeing. In conclusion, this film is bad. Don't think about seeing it, and I will see you soon, hopefully with a much better subject to talk about.